I have mentioned several times to you in the past how extremely crucial math is to the real world. You really do use the stuff that you learn in your mathematics classes. And a really great example of this has to do with a very popular hairstyle called the mullet. Now, in order to really create a proper mullet, there has to be a good mulletude created in that mullet. Now, a mulletude is it is the rate of party to business. So, in this rate, 1 unit of measurement is the business, and that's the length of hair on the front of the head or at the top of the head, and the other is the length of the hair at the back. So our rate constructed becomes mulletude. Mulletude is equal to the ratio that we looked at yesterday. So the ratio of party to business. But in this case, we're going to look at our ratio as a fraction. So we're going to put our ratio into fraction form. So our mulletude is equal to party over business. And it's so very important to include our units of measurement for this. So while we might have measured the length of the hair on the top of the head in centimeters and the length of the hair at the back in centimeters, when we are looking at the multitude, we are not looking at 2 measurements of centimeters. Rather, we are looking at party over business. So we can reduce that to PB. And that's just how, if you were talking about kilometers per hour, you would say K-H. So kilometers per hour, that is party per business. Now, the topic of mulletude has become somewhat controversial as of late, and I'll show you how with a picture. Using the formula that we are going to be using today, someone has measured some hairstyles, and it is their argument that in order for a hairstyle to be considered a true mullet, the mulletude of that hairstyle must be at least 3. So what you need to do today is actually calculate the mulletude of several mullets and decide for yourself which one of those mullets is a true mullet and rank them in order of their mulletude from greatest to least. Before you look at the questions for today, I'd like you to just walk with me through how we are to calculate a mulletude. And I'll start with a picture example. In the mullet below, we see that the front of the head has a measurement, the hair has a measurement of 3 centimeters, and the back of the head, the measurement is 11 centimeters. That would put our mullet ratio as 11 to 3, party to business. Now, when we calculate our mulletude, we're actually going to turn that ratio into a fraction form. So 11 over 3. And since we are calculating mulletude, I'm going to say mulletude is equal to 11 over 3. And the units of measurement in this case are party over different unit of measurement business. So we have 11 party to 3 business. Now, it's very challenging to, as we saw when we were arranging fractions in order from least to greatest or greatest to least, it can sometimes be quite challenging to order fractions. So in order to make this a little bit simpler for us, what we're going to do is turn our fraction into decimal form. And when we do that, then we can have a clear number that will tell us whether our mullet has high or great mulletude or low mulletude. So we do 11 divided by 3. And we don't forget to include our units. Our units in this case are party over business, but let's do short form, PB. Just like you would use kilometers per hour, we're doing party per business. And once we do this calculation, we can just tap this into a calculator. 11 divided by 3. And we find 3.6, and the 6 repeats. So because we are in grade 6, we are going to round it to the nearest thousandths. So it would become 3.66, and then our next 6 actually rounds up to 7. And we do not forget to include our units. So our mullet in question today has a mulletude of 3.667 party per business, or 3 667 thousandths party per business. And if we look once again at our diagram, if this person's definition of a legal mullet is accurate, then we can say that this example that we looked at today is a true legal mullet because its mulletude is greater than 3 party per business. I would like to share one more example of finding mulletude, this rate, the rate of mulletude of a mullet. And this example that I'm going to show you now is the example in the first question of your page of work that you are to complete today. Now, this example is actually one of the ones that is quite controversial, and this is why we are looking at it carefully today. In this case, Hillary's mullet is 15 centimeter party. So I'm going to say it is 15 party to 10 business. And when we want to reduce that down to a decimal form, so we're going to do 15 divided by 10 PB. So that would be party per business. And 15 divided by 10 lands us with 1.5, 1 5/10 party per business. Now the problem with this is that, as we saw in our diagram, in order for a hairstyle to be considered a mullet, a true legal mullet, it needs to have a mulletude of 3 party per business or greater. So I think some might argue that Hillary Clinton does not, in fact, have a legal mullet. Please now go to the page that you started the other day. You have the skills that you can look at the final column of questions and find the rate of mulletude for each of our mullets. And finally, you are going to rate the mullets by mulletude from greatest to least mulletude.